Here we go.
Greetings and peace, everyone. I would like to welcome you all with the Nur Alaikum greeting of the Fatimiyya Sufi order. Upon you be light. And today we're joined with our beloved Sheikh, Murshid, friend, Sheikh Wahid Azal of the Nur Fatimiyya Sufi order, who returns for part 23 in our series of dialogues and conversations. And in today's conversation, we are going to address and let's talk about the white gatekeepers and those in those ivory towers who are stealing our Eastern knowledge and branding it and representing it as their own. So without further ado, welcome to our beloved Sheikh and Murshid, Sheikh Wahid Azal. Nur alaikum.
Alaikum Nur, and I take refuge in God from the gatekeepers. What can I say? I woke up this morning and immediately, I had a notification from YouTube, and what do I see? I see this channel of Let's Talk About Religion, who has done a 1 hour and 30-minute podcast on the Fusus al-Hikam, without making it remotely unobvious. He's taken the very same picture of Ibn Arabi that the Theosophical Society used for the front cover of my own talk only about 3-4 weeks ago. There are no coincidences in the world of cyberspace, and we all know very well that gatekeeping is one of the things that these people do. It's, number one, the same kind of cutthroat competitive mentality that exists in the marketplace exists all over cyberspace, and especially in these topics. But I have had my eye on this specific guy for a couple of years now. And I have noticed that whenever, I either broach a topic or make something about a topic, whether it's on YouTube, on Facebook, on somewhere else, within a short distance of time, all of a sudden this individual puts out like a, 20, 30, 40, 50-minute, podcast, very professionally edited and that sort of thing. And we know what that is about, because what YouTube and just Google and internet algorithms do is that when, for example, you're talking about something and somebody else makes a video about the same topic and they are monetized and they have over 10, 20, 30,000 people viewing them. The purpose of that is to basically manipulate algorithms on YouTube and on the internet general to kind of push away any search that comes your way to their way. I know all of this because my late wife, Roya, amongst some of the work that she used to do, she was search optimizing for big companies in London. This is, how she was making her money when I first met her back in 2010. And she knew back then the ins and outs of how all of this is done and who does it and why they do it, etc. This individual first came to my notice around 2019. It was around the time right after the passing of Roya, when he made this long video on the Baha'is. And it was very interesting because at that time, there was a momentum that was coming to my way based on the videos and the podcast that Kayvan Yahya and I were making on Babism. So all of a sudden, this video shows up on YouTube made by this individual on the Baha'is, where he is just basically narrating the official line of the Baha'is about the Baha'i faith and also about the history of Babism. And then Kayvan was the one that pointed this out to me not long after that all the traffic that had been coming our way to my page to those first two podcasts that Kayvan and I had made on Babism suddenly started gravitating towards this guy's page and other ones, while pushing ours all the way down the pages on YouTube. So this is deliberate. And it is, right now with this last podcast that this individual has made, it is as blatantly obvious as the noonday sun that this guy, the course that I'm running that is putting up, these videos of the audio on YouTube, because of the search optimization, because I checked this last week when I Googled Fusus al-Hikam on the video option, our videos were coming up. So now with this video that he has made of the bezels of wisdom, I think that the whole point of this exercise, that whoever put him up to it, is to push ours all the way down, right? So this is what's going on. And so who benefits from this other than certain parties that we already know about? And just the general, just the general agenda of the gatekeeping of these sorts of topics by the Western Ivory Tower, who has a problem with natives representing their own, especially natives such as myself, who are articulate and can go toe to toe in 15 rounds with every single one of these people. So they put up their little, Trojan horse online to make a video on Ibn Arabi's Bezels of Wisdom for the sole and exclusive, reason of trying to push the search of the videos and audios that are coming up of mine on YouTube down. This is what this is all about. He did this also back in 2021 when our list, the Islamic theurgy and white sorcery list, went up, and there was, this constant, people wanting to get on that list. All of a sudden, he puts out videos on Al-Buni, then another one on Islamic theurgy, and he uses exactly my term of theurgy, etc. So we know what this is about. We know who is doing this. But this is what needs to be said to the people that are doing this, that we understand very well the game that you're playing. We understand very much the dirtiness of what you're about, that what you're doing is gatekeeping. And because you're not happy about the fact that your sense of entitlement over these sorts of topics is being directly challenged at this time, and that we have no respect for your institution because we look at your institution as an extension of the colonial project, that what you are, the Western Ivory Tower, are merely an extension on the level of knowledge production of Western colonialism, that we are attempting to take back our own from your sullied hands. This bothers you, right? Now, I don't have a specific beef with the Muhyiddin Ibn Arabi Society. There are some extremely good people there. But nevertheless, this needs to be said, is that, these people also themselves, if one of them has been responsible for this, which I doubt, but if so, just as a hypothetical, what needs to be said is that right now, the Muhyiddin Ibn Arabi Society is exclusively represented at the very top of its organization by white faces, white Anglo-European faces. Only maybe one or two, a handful of these individuals are actual Muslims or actually involved with any Sufi order. Now, this society came out of the Bülent Rauf Foundation. So the founder of the Bülent Rauf Foundation was a Turk, a great man whose family and focus was always on the teachings of Ibn Arabi. These are the Ottoman era Turkish followers of the school of Ibn Arabi. So I take nothing away from that. But nevertheless, the Muhyiddin Ibn Arabi Society today at the very top, whether you're looking at the internet, whether you're looking at its editorial board or etc., these are all white Anglo-European faces, right? And this is the thing. The pushback has started, right? And the pushback with me is the following. Either we act as equals, right, where this kind of stuff is concerned, or you got a problem because we will fight and push back against you, right? The West, whatever its self-belief, right, does not hold an intrinsic right to represent these sorts of topics and these sorts of figures of history on its terms, right? Because when it believes that is colonialism, pure and simple. And so, what I'm saying is thus far, no further. You've crossed the red line, and now you got it coming. We will resist you. And the fact that these sorts of forces online have to go to these sorts of lengths to try to take back what they think is their territory being encroached upon tells you everything you need to know about the mentality of these people and what these people are about. But I am not one to sit back and take this lying down. You bite, I will bite you back 10 times harder. And my track record all over the internet for the last 20, 30 years has proven this solidly to people, that when you cross that line with me, God help you, because I will come after you, all guns blazing. I'll hand it to you.
Yes, Sheikh, that's absolutely correct. And I also make a public declaration that with Sheikh Wahid Azal, I stand with him always against all enemies and those that are the enemies of the truth. I also noticed this individual when I first made my video in 2020 on Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba from Senegal, and also another video I made on the Brethren of Purity, the Ikhwan al Safa. And then I noticed like a month later, this guy comes out with the same videos, and my videos were like gaining views and traction. And I'm noticing like what's up with these people. I'm noticing the same thing with the Muhyiddin Ibn Arabi Society, as the Sheikh pointed out. Even the Baba Muhyiddin community in Philadelphia, they're all white faces, and even Coleman Barks from that community translated Rumi and removed all references of Islam and Allah from his poetry. And same thing what I've encountered in the Masonic world, even in the occult world, where Freemasonry and Rosicrucianism borrows heavily from Persian mysticism and Islamic sciences and Sufism, but they never talked about it or gave it any credit. And as soon as I started doing my thing, now they have the copycats out there as well. So, I mean, the Sheikh is right, and I stand with the Sheikh and people who are on the side of humanity. Either you fight for this equality, or you're gonna get that karma that's coming towards you, because the Sheikh is she whom God shall make manifest, and people need to get that through their head and know that the reality that we're facing, even with the colonialism we're facing with the Palestine situation and other Black and brown nations that are being suppressed, these people, even when they give the so-called freedom to their colonies, they still covertly, heavily influence their policies and make the conditions so bad for those people that they have no choice but to go to other places to survive. So these people have a lot to answer for. Even what I said in my Rudolf Steiner video, that if Rudolf Steiner called Islam a Luciferic Ahrimanic force, I call him and his kind that in return.
Which they were. I mean, I've been hanging out with the Theosophists here locally in Brisbane. They're extremely nice, good people, very helpful. But let's not forget the fact that whether we're talking about Blavatsky or Steiner, that these people were directly, and this has been proven by a late friend of mine in a couple of academic studies, that these people were directly responsible for the birth of National Socialism in Europe. The ideology, the occult ideology that spawned Nazism came directly out of people like Steiner and Blavatsky. So I take nothing away from the people now and the local people here who are extremely nice, good people. I take nothing away from them. But this is the truth. And the thing is that in where the present situation is concerned, you see this all the time. The white overrepresented academy has a problem with people of color, even when they pretend that they don't, right? And the proof is in the pudding, and the pudding is in eating, and the pudding is in eating in this sense. You look at all the academics in Islamic studies. Who are the names at this time that are considered to be the foremost experts in their various fields? Whether we're talking about the study of Ibn Arabi, whether we're talking about a variety of different topics in the field, they will give due to the black and brown people and the Muslims, from that part of the world. But for example, and I take nothing away from him. I love the man. I love his wife, right? Who will you talk about when you talk about Ibn Arabi in an academic setting? Do you talk about William Chittick, or do you talk about Sawada Hakim? How many people know about Sawada Hakim, which William Chittick himself told me to my face in 1995 that he considered her to be the foremost Ibn Arabi scholar of the age at the time. But yet, in the mindset of the times in the West, right, William Chittick will get the accolades and the kudos, and not Sawada Hakim, right? I'm not saying that these people like Chittick or Stephen Hertenstein, etc., are doing any of this deliberately. In fact, they would be the first to raise their protest against these sorts of developments. So I think this is not directed at them personally, but the rest of the establishment will do this, right? And will pit, for example, the William Chitticks and the Stephen Hertensteins against the Sawada Hakims or Sayyid Hossein Nas, etc. Now, I'm on record for, far and wide saying that I do not like Sayyid Hossein Nas. I consider the man to be corrupt. Yet, even when I say that, on the level of scholarship, I take nothing away from this man. The man has produced some excellent scholarship over his career, and nothing should be taken away from the man in that respect. Yet, while I lived in North America, not even with my own advisor, Hossein Ziai, but all these various white academics studying Islamic philosophy, such as John Walbridge, would go out of their way, whether at academic conferences or in personal emails or whatnot, to badmouth Sayyid Hossein Nas, etc. Now, some of the things that Nas has been engaged in has been extremely problematic, and I published and wrote about this in 2016. Yet, when a figure, for example, who is white, such as Frithjof Schuon, is primarily responsible for this sort of thing, but yet Sayyid Hossein Nas becomes the main target of the sins of Schuon, that tells you that the racism and the white supremacy is live within even the establishment of Islamic studies amongst these very same people who are teaching and studying Islamic philosophy in the Western Ivory Tower. At the time, I didn't make that much of it, but over the last couple of years, the more I have gone back to these scenarios in my mind about the 1990s, it has become obvious to me as the noonday sun that this is what is going on. So even these foremost great, intellectual figures that have been teaching and studying in the Western Ivory Tower who are not white, if they make a misstep, then they become the exclusive focus of the ire of their white colleagues. But if a white man does it, not as much as the black and brown man. And so here we are seeing a function of this white supremacy within the very discipline of Islamic studies, and especially in the study of Sufism and the figure of Ibn Arabi more than anything else. I love people like William Chittick. This man, I think, is great. Him and his wife, Sachiko Murata. It's unfortunate that they were involved with the Mariamia, but that's neither here nor there. His scholarship stands on its own. It's a monument. Another one, Gerald Elmore, the late Gerald Oldmore, Stephen Hertenstein, who is leading the Ibn Arabi Society. But yet, nevertheless, when you see a development like we have seen in the last 48 hours, where in the very middle of a course that we are doing on the Fusus al-Hikam, this guy comes out of left field, right, and puts that 1 hour and 30-minute video on his page. That is telling you that this guy is a copycat. You cannot make any kind of counter argument to me to say that this is not the case. This is the case, 100%. So if you're doing that, we reserve the right to push back against you and push back hard.
Sheikh, no doubt, because I myself, and it's funny because it's not only me, but several other people noticed the same thing, that when good, credible people of an Eastern origin put out anything on YouTube or anything in academia, all of a sudden, maybe like a week later or a month later, there will be some kind of a counteract from someone that's from a white background in order to gatekeep that information. Yes. I've noticed that all the time, even in the world of Freemasonry, they're always giving credit to Greeks and Romans. But I mean, and even if you look at their expos, like the speaking panels, it's all white speakers. They don't even give representation to Black Masons like that. And even what we see, even in these so-called love and light groups and indigo groups and spiritual groups, it's all white people, right? They're experiencing all of this. They supposedly have all the enlightenment and knowledge, while we're all dumb idiots just waiting to be guided by them. So this needs to be addressed, and I've seen this many times.
So then this raises the question, if we Black and brown people are such dumb idiots as you white people think here, then why are you trying to appropriate Black and brown figures of our history as your,
that's right. That's right.
Why are you doing this? I mean, Stephen Bayer has a theory about this, our friend Stephen, that, that's something that the Romans used to do, was to appropriate the gods of people they conquered as a way of maintaining the conquest over the people. To some degree, this is also going on here through the Ivory Tower of figures like Ibn Arabi. But the fact remains that, we are alive, and this is our legacy. It's the legacy of our culture, not yours. If you want to be part of the legacy of this culture, then like this dude, he should get off his fjord and say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa Muhammadan Rasulullah, to go into a tariqah and give bayat to some sheikh. And then, that is absolutely your legacy. but you can't have your cake and eat it too, and then argue objectivity by appropriating the figures and the topics of our culture, right? And then say, well, I'm not really involved. I'm not really a Muslim. I'm either a Christian or an atheist or a secular. Okay, mofo, if that is the case, then get off your high pedestal, right? And give us back what is ours. We are happy to share with you. We are a generous people. This is what our culture is about, generosity. You know, the guest in our culture per hadith and per our practice for thousands of years, a guest in our culture is God himself that has come into our midst. This is how we treat guests, right? You don't do that, but this is our custom. So it is not as if that if that if we are trying to represent our own, we are precluding you from representing it or appreciating it either. That's not what we're saying, because that's not what we're about. But when you do what you do, this is what you're doing. You're trying to appropriate. And so your adab proves, and by your very behavior, you prove that you have no adab, that you're trying to appropriate, that you're a thief more than anything else, right? And for those Muslims and people from the region that then go on this guy's page and fawn over this guy's content and ooh and ah over this, you people are chumps, utterly, completely, 100% chumps. That's what you are. You have no self-respect. You have no sense of yourself. And this is the reason why our region is the way it is because of dumbasses like you who don't know what is what.
Sheikh, that's absolutely right, and I've noticed that too. When I was looking through the comments, there was a guy from Bangladesh, and they were all just fawning and drooling over him. And it's unfortunate, the colonial mindset that many people in India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, and these different places that were once colonized still have to this day, where if a white man shows them something from their own culture, they will fawn over him rather than someone from their own side who's already been given them that information. So, like, even with Persian philosophy and mysticism and the different groups and religions and ways of studies, they were already there since the beginning of time. But of course, the West only wants to give credit to the Greeks and the Romans because they're white, because it makes them look good and feel good.
Absolutely. And I tell you this, the worst perpetrators of all of this are people who classify themselves as being liberals, right? With the white conservative, with the white conservative, you know exactly what quantity that you're dealing with. It's a known quantity. You know that people like Donald Trump or MAGA are absolute white supremacists. You know that. And they're honest about it. They're not lying. They're not hiding what they are. But with these liberals, these white, liberals, just like Malcolm X said, and just like Malcolm X underscored over 40, 50 years ago, that there is no greater enemy to the black and brown man than these motherfuckers. And it's as simple as that. They will pretend to be your friend, but they are, waiting for that opportunity to put a big knife in your back. And they will do it every single time, guaranteed, these unicorns, as I call them. At the moment, with this surge in the popularity of Donald Trump and with all these white liberals, having a hissy fit and having hysterics in some fashion, I think this is poetic justice. Let them shake in their boots, because they deserve it, because these people are duplicitous to the core. They are spineless and they have no, integrity at all whatsoever. And so they deserve, what they get. Unfortunately, there's a lot of our own people in North America and Europe that are probably going to be targeted by another Trump administration. But nevertheless, this is the situation that we're dealing with, where, we don't have friends amongst these people. And those who pretend to be our friends are not really our friends. However,
yes,
as I'm saying, thus far, no further. You step out of line and you pull these kind of duplicitous tactics, we reserve the right to push back against you and call you out on it every single time. And there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it. We will do it.
And Sheikh, I stand with you, and I make a public declaration that I stand with Sheikh Wahid Azal against all of these Western academic ivory tower gatekeepers in religion, spirituality, academia, the cult of the Baha'i faith, and all of these enemies of humanity. I stand with Sheikh Wahid Azal, and the Most High God will punish and destroy these people within our lifetime That is a guarantee. People are waking up. They're not dealing with the nonsense anymore. And I mean, even right now, even with the whole Trump situation going on, he picked a running mate that has a Indian wife. So I guess they're trying to capture those people who still are victim to the colonial mindset. So it's unfortunate what we're all seeing right now. I mean, America's done. It's you given like another maximum 5-10 years. I see people here right now that have professional careers, even a home that has 2 to 3 incomes per home, and they're crying right now because it's so hard to survive. So this place is done. All of the karma and colonialism that they did to other people, black and brown people, even the British and French, it's all going to come back to them.
Well, I mean, especially a lot of these white working class, Republicans and MAGA supporters. I mean, what are they going to do when the next Trump administration comes in and takes every last remaining regulation out of the U.S. economy? Things that protect them, like clean water, etc. Right? What are they going to do? What are they going to do when the responsibility of government in stopping these big businesses or just the private sector in general from screwing everybody? All of these stopgaps are removed. What are they going to do when they're complaining now about their cost of living? What are they going to do when government can no longer stop the hyperinflation or the artificial inflationary cycles that forces certain companies to push up prices without any reason? What are they going to do then when there is no rent control, when their landlord can at a whim change the terms of a contract and push their rent to astronomical levels at the next contract, or even in the middle of a contract? What are they going to do? What are they going to do when their rates go shoot through the roof because their local government can no longer afford to compete with its competitors, its private competitors? What are they going to do? So go ahead, vote for Donald Trump, vote for MAGA. In fact, I encourage you people, all of you, to go vote for this guy, because if stupidity is your calling, then stupidity is your end. And it is by your own hands. We're not doing anything to you. We're just basically sitting there and commenting on your stupidity. So go ahead, go do what you have to do. But my concern is for our own people in that land, our loved ones, our friends, that are going to be at the receiving end of this. So I am encouraging people to seriously think about getting the hell out of North America, not just the United States, but out of North America as a whole. Get out. That place, that house is about ready to crash. It will crash. Donald Trump, more than likely, I would say right now, it's 90% chance will come back into the White House after this election in November. And then that whole house of cards is going to implode. If he even fulfills one promise on his foreign policy, the entire Atlantic alliance since the end of the Second World War will go boom. There will be no more NATO. There will be no more transatlantic alliance of the kind that we have been used to. This will give a green light to the Russians and the Chinese to basically steamroll over anyone and anything that they wish without any interference from the United States. And then this may trigger war. You may have the French and the Germans going to war against the Russians. This thing may get nuclear. And Europe will be turned into a complete basket case, a third world, backwater. So this is not a good situation. And it's not going to change, but primarily the failure is the failure of these very liberals that we're talking about. These people are spineless, they're greedy, they're stupid, self-consumed. They're exactly everything that Malcolm X said these people are. And so, there should be no cooperation with liberals. Right now, here in Australia, a senator of the Labour Party of this country, which is in power, the Labour Party are Democrats of Australia. She's a senator because she voiced her opinion and her support for the Palestinian cause and the Palestinian statehood. Her party came after her in unbelievable terms, forcing her out of the party completely, forcing her to resign from the party. Your voice is gone. So this is what we are dealing with. This is what we're dealing with, where these liberals and affiliated in the West cannot be trusted to be the spokespeople and the backers of people from our part of the world. They are part of the problem, and it is as simple as
You hear me now, Sheikh?
yeah. Now I hear you. Yeah,
Oh yeah, sorry about that. My voice went out for a bit. Yeah, what I was saying is you're absolutely right because these liberals, I mean, look at all of the main cities across America that have been gentrified. They've
yeah.
kicked out all of the black and brown people out of generational homes and neighborhoods that they were in for so many years, kicked them out and rebranded their neighborhoods. And these are the same people telling us that we're your friends.
They're not our.
So Malcolm is right. Malcolm is right. Same thing with academia, with the neighborhoods, with gentrification.
But
That's
there we
exactly
have
what
it.
it is.
There we have it. So let's talk about gatekeeping. Is the name of this podcast? And I guess we'll leave it at there. And see what the reaction is to all of this.
Well, let's see, because in all storms, I again tell the enemy that you will be destroyed. And I always stand with the Noor FSO and Sheikh Wahid Azal. You're done.
Yeah, inshallah. Okay, well, that's the way it is. Yeah, Noor.